Merrick Garland.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well,
Please.
I had to say
Please,
for you,
calm
esteemed
down.
lifelong journalist, journalism is alive and well. That gives me hope. I mean, the Washington Post, Rachel Maddow, the J6 committee, public pressure. I don't care at this point how we get there, Charlie. I mean,
No, but I think the Washington Post story. First of all, it was magisterial,
yeah,
and as a historical document, it's going to be very, very valuable. That having been said, and I just wrote about this, so it's fresh in my mind. If you go back through history, there was no great desire to chase the Watergate scandal all the way up to the White House. The Iran-Contra investigations were incredibly botched, and one of the reasons was nobody wanted to pin anything on kindly Dutch Reagan.
Yeah, and Bill Barr.
And well, that's the thing. Through history,
Yeah.
Mitchell, Kleindienst, Ed Meese, Bill Barr. Usually, when the Attorney General gets involved in one of these things, bad things happen.
Yeah. Well, you're so good.
So I would just assume Garland, take the course he took, maybe a little bit faster. And I think the section of the Washington Post piece about how they initially didn't want to get into the fake electors is really inexcusable.
Yeah.
Because that stuff was on video on local news.
Yeah.
There was video of the fake electors showing up and having to be kept out by local cops.
Yeah. Yeah. As you call her, kindly Doc Maddow did unbelievably great work on putting a spotlight on the fake electors. I mean, I always said, every time we've had Adam Schiff on, or Glenn Kirschner, I mean, I think their impatience with the Justice Department was obviously well-founded. And, Adam Schiff has a great poker face, but you could tell he was saying everything he could say. But, I mean, that's basically the reporting now, is they were shamed into this. They were shamed into it by the J6 committee getting out in front of them, right?
Oh, I think that's a leap. I really do. I think that the J6 committee did valuable work on its own. But I think that, I think saying that like Merrick Garland was shamed into appointing Jack Smith, I think that's asserting facts, not in evidence.
Well, I think Trump declaring was part of it, right? I mean,
everybody knew that was going to happen.
And look at last night. What is his deal? He has an uncanny way of making things work worse for himself.
It's the same. It's the same thing. He's done since he popped onto the national scene. Except it's got extra helpings of dementia now. Yeah.
It really does. I mean, that to me is more the headline, than him incriminating himself. He is 10 times
Brett
crazier.
Baer looked like he wanted to shoot the guy with a trank gun last night.
Yes. Yeah.
He looked genuinely terrified.
Yeah. Well,
and that's a good thing.
I mean, your piece, about this next election is so true. The basic idea of self-government is at stake. You said the New York Times has produced a truly scarifying piece of reporting that leaves no doubt what's at stake in courtrooms right now and at the polling stations in 24. No exaggeration to say what's on the line is not only the American democratic experiment, but the basic idea of self-government itself. I mean, Trump basically once again saying, I'm absolutely going to politicize the Justice Department if I get back in.
Well, yeah, and Ron DeSantis is going to move, the FBI to Wichita,
right,
or Tallahassee or someplace.
You made a good point. You said it's perhaps time for Jeffrey Clark to sample some institutional dining on the federal dime. I agree with that. Well, we'll see what happens with the J6 investigation, but he's smack in the middle of that.
Yeah, well, that's people I think underestimate because the January 6th committee did such a good job. It's really going to be hard to convict Donald Trump on inciting the January 6th riots. That's not going to be easy.
Right. Well, that's not the part of it. It's it's all of it. Fake electors, the pressuring of Pence, the whole plot to overturn the election.
The case. But if you look at the fake electors, that case is proven as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you make a good point as the official historian of the Stephanie Miller Show. You said, as is the case with so much else associated with the former president, he simply took existing conservative policy prescriptions and applied them crudely and stupidly because he is, well, crude and stupid. And he found people willing to be as crude and stupid as he wanted them to be. It's hard to it is hard to imagine what a second Trump administration would actually be like, right?
Oh God, it's mind-boggling what's going to, especially if he gets the trifecta, which I don't think he's going to get. By the way, I think the odds that the Democrats keep the Senate and get the House back are pretty good right now, since it looks like the House is headed for a complete cannibal feast over the next 3 or 4 months. Right.
I always love when you hearken back to the great penis hunt of 1998, as you call it. You said there may be an attempt to run a spurious comparison to the episode in the Great Penis Hunts of 1998, in which such a settlement seemed imminent in the lawsuit Paula Jones launched against Clinton, only to collapse at the last minute. However, as the Washington Post reported at the time, there were extra lawyers meddling in that case behind the scenes. They wanted the Jones case to proceed because it was a vehicle by which they could get Clinton under oath in the perjury trap they eventually sprung later that year. Yeah, I mean, they operate under no such rules or regulations that we do.
Yeah,
right?
What does everybody think the reaction in the country to if they settled the Trump, let's say the fake electors part, if they settled that out of court and they gave Trump a plea deal,
right? Yeah,
I think the country would go bananas.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's already getting floated out there because of the nature of the classified material, that they might make a plea because it's too.
I mean, the one thing blocking, his getting a plea deal is the fact he doesn't have any lawyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
after last night, I would imagine.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to be hiring Matlock pretty soon.
By the way, I mentioned Adam Schiff, who we had on last week, and you talked about this ridiculous. This is everything you need to know about the Republican Party, this censure of Adam Schiff. You said you may wonder every now and again, hey, what's the House of Representatives wasting its time and our money on today? Wonder no more. And this ridiculous from, what's her name? Representative Lunatic from Florida. Yeah.
Luna.
Yeah.
Representative Luna.
Yeah. Right. You said, and then you quoted, what's his name? Oh, Thomas Massey from Kentucky. He said he would vote against the censure, aligning with Democrats. Adam Schiff acted unethically, but if a resolution to fine him $16 million comes to the floor, I will vote to table it. In fact, I'm still litigating a federal lawsuit against Pelosi over a salary reduction she imposed on me for my refusal to wear a mask. So Massey couldn't vote for this crazy-ass censure because it might complicate his crazy-ass lawsuit against Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that was my favorite quote of that whole thing.
Yes.
I'm suing Nancy Pelosi, so I can't vote to censure Adam Schiff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about not caring how you get there, and any port in a storm. That's why
6,438 of they're not there to govern.
No, they are absolutely not there to govern. You're right.
By the way, can I just say they are coming up with new and creative ways to be D's? What's the Governor Abbott thing we talked about yesterday?
Yeah. Water.
No water breaks.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, if you're
construction workers.
If you're the mayor of a city, and you think it would be hard on your tourism dollars to have construction workers keeling over and dying from thirst on the sidewalk, and you make a regulation that you have to have water breaks.
Yeah.
The state of Texas is now telling you can't do that.
Yeah. Did you happen to
remember
see?
Remember when the theory was that the government is closest to the people is best?
Yeah. Did you happen to see Gavin Newsom's bitch slapping of Sean Hannity? Did you see that interview?
I haven't. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet.
It is so, Charlie, how we need to be alpha liberaling, right? Just that he should be Democrats should always be making these points that, we are are we fourth or fifth largest economy in the world?
Fourth.
And he said, what you want us to have Mississippi's fiscal policies? He said, 7 of the top 10 the highest, whatever, obviously we already know this. Blue states are the ones subsidizing all the red states. I mean, just all those points we should be making. This one I missed yesterday. Hannity said businesses and wealthy people are leaving California because blah, 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 regulations, taxes. Newsom said, I'm a small business person. I've started 21 companies, 1,000 employees. I'm passionate about that. California never held me back. It gave me every opportunity in the world. All these folks, Elon Musk, Tesla exists because of California's regulatory framework. I mean, going right at him. You've written for years about brownbacks policies. We have all these laboratories in the states where Republican policies have failed miserably.
Oh God! It goes right up. It goes right up the ladder to trickle down economics.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Reich has been saying this for a year. It doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's such
it was never going to work because it doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God! Here's a flashback. I was on MSNBC 11 billion years ago with Ed Schultz. We were both on panel. This is before he got his show. And we were on with Georgette Moschbauer. Remember her?
Yes.
Right wing, the Republican lady. And she literally looked at Ed and I and she said, well, you don't know what it's like to own a business. You don't, liberals don't run businesses. And Ed and I are both like, we both have our own business. What do you think a radio show is like? But you know what I mean? They're just they think they just own this issue that no liberals run businesses or know how to or make any money. I mean, it's insane, right?
Yeah. And
apparently we're all funded by George Soros.
They're also the party of the working class. It's willing to have construction workers in San Antonio where it's going to be over 100 degrees the next week and a half, healing over.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Charlie, say goodbye to your lover.
Goodbye, Jody Hamilton. Have a lovely week.
Goodbye.
Okay.
And make sure to read Charlie's stuff at Esquire Politics.
Yes.
We've linked to it.
Yes, we
because
have.
we're liberal helpers.
We are.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
You are. Bye now.
48 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show brought to you by me and my coziness. I am. Hello, Frangela.
We are not here for that nonsense. Oh, y'all made me undo my hair.
She just summed up this entire Republican caucus. Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Because what that was a prayer.